I'll just quickly kind of run through what Edgeful does. I'll show you guys how everything is laid out so you kind of have an understanding of like how to navigate things. So pretty much Edgeful, if you ever have a question like how often does the gap fill? How often does price break out of an opening range? How often is a certain weekday the high or low of the week? We have those answers. Like that, those are the types of questions that Edgeful answers. So we built this tool. We try to make it as easy as possible for you to digest the data because like we know that data is boring. We try to make it in a way that's easy for you to digest where you can quickly see how often certain things happen so you can take advantage of them in your trading. So up top here, if you can see my screen, up top here is the nav bar. This is your steering wheel for the entire site. This is how you navigate literally everything at this very moment. We have crypto, we have stocks, Forex, and futures. We have 3 types of reports. So we have price action reports, we have volume and indicator reports. So regardless of your trading style, we have something for you. We have over 100 reports right now. So these are just the price action ones that I just opened this dropdown for. Every ticker, whether you're trading equities, Forex, crypto, or futures, we have every ticker. And if we don't have one, you can actually request for us to get that added in. Then we have for Forex, crypto, and futures, we have sessions. So you can actually break out the data by specific sessions that you trade. So if you trade that London session, we have you taken care of. If you trade a Sydney or a Tokyo or the New York, we have you taken care of too. You can actually select your sessions right here. Our data goes back to 5 years. So you can go back and look at a report, like for example, the gap fill report, you can go back 5 years and see the data, how it's changed over, or how it's done over the last 5 years. These little bubbles right here are sub-reports, so like, or filters. So pretty much this is the gap fill report. It has each one of these is a sub-report. So we have gaps filtered by size, by weekday, by spike, by fill time. There's a bunch of different stuff that we have. Then we have the visual representation, the table representation, quick explainer graphs right here, explainer text over to the side. Right here is how you get access to our 30 private custom indicators that are part of your subscription. So you just click on this little window will pop up, and then you put in your TradingView username right in here. The way to find that is if you go up here to the top left, you click on your profile button, Edgeful will come up. That's my TradingView username. So yours will be obviously something else. And then once you click get access in your indicators section, in invite only, you're going to see all of our indicators right here. I'll touch on the.
I never knew you guys had that feature. I didn't know you guys had that feature. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, you should definitely do it. You should definitely get access to them. And part of your subscription, any new ones that come out, you'll also automatically get access to. You only have to do it once. So you don't have to do it on every report. You do it once and you get access to everything. So there's that. Then some more explainer text, like what is this measuring? How can I use this? An actual breakdown of the results. So these are every single day, whether it was a gap up or down, whether it filled or not, a price chart, and then finally a video. These videos are super important. These videos will tell you what the report is measuring, how you can use it with actual chart examples on how you can kind of set up these trades. So does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep. Good explanation.
Thanks. So I'm going to touch on a few of the most popular reports that I've noticed that are getting people to pass funded challenges. I'm going to start with the gap fill report. Sorry?
I said, this is the good stuff right here.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to start with the gap fill report. The reason that I love this so much is because it's so simple. It gives you a target every day and a bias every day. So you don't need to come into the markets and say, is it going to go up or down? You just need to look at where is the previous session's close and where is price opening today. So I'll show you exactly what a gap is and what a gap fill looks like. So here I'm on my trading view. I'm on my charts right here. So you can see, I'll try to find an example on NQ has some pretty good examples, some clean ones. So, okay. Here's a very good example on NQ. So one thing to note, which is extremely important about Edgeful, is that these sessions that you select are filtering the data for only the time that you select. So if you're looking at this New York session, you are only looking at the data within these blue boxes. You're ignoring completely the data outside of them. So the overnight session is literally as if it doesn't exist, because you're filtering only for those sessions. So when you're referencing in the previous day's high, it's the previous New York session high, previous day's low, previous New York session low, previous day's close, previous New York session close. I know I sound like a little broken record trying to say that, but it really is so important, because or else like you're gonna reference the wrong prices. So in this case, we're looking at this blue session, this blue box, which is actually our market sessions indicator, which is right here. If you scroll down, you can see market sessions. It will populate the New York, London, and Tokyo sessions, just so you guys know. And then you can actually just double click and customize what sessions you want to appear. So I'm just going to delete that new one I just added. Okay, back to the gap fill report. A gap fill is just when price today touches the previous session's close. So how can we get this set up? Let's say you're making your pre-market plan, you're ready to trade your challenge account. So now what you need to do is say, where's my previous session's close? Right here. 4 p.m. close, 4 p.m. Eastern time, the close is right here. And you can see that today, let's pretend that this is today over here, today is opening below that. So that would be a gap down. I'm going to make this red so you can see the gap down here. On NQ, this was a gap down of right about here, 42-ish points, 42 and a half points. So if you were to take this trade long, targeting the previous day's close, that would be the gap fill. So you can see this actually happened in the first 5 minutes. And very simple trade, entering at the open, taking that all the way up to that previous close. And you can see that this happens on NQ, this is ES, let me switch to NQ. 65% of the time in the last 6 months. So already by itself, the edge is in your favor. The probabilities are in your favor for price to touch this yellow line, this previous session's closing price. But one thing is, I'm not delusional. I know that people struggle to hold on to their winners. People might not be able to hold on to a 42-point move on NQ.
Mm-hmm.
So what we added was this customization here. And what this customization does is it allows you to change what counts as a gap fill, or the percentage of the gap that you want to be targeting. So in this case, I'll do this, and I'll plot out from the open to the gap fill. You can see on TradingView, it just automatically plots this halfway point.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down here, put that halfway point. I'm going to make that, I'll make it green. So this is the halfway point between the open and the previous close. 21 points, just the halfway of the full gap fill. Now, you can see here that a gap down fills 65% of the time, and a gap up fills almost 70% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's targeting this yellow area. What if I wanted to target just halfway? So now you go to your customization, you click gap fill percentage, and you go down to 50%. And now look how these numbers change. So save, and now
Wow.
80% of the time, this is going to happen. So as a recap, you're trading that funded account, get long. On a gap down, you can get long at some point. You don't need to get long right at the open, but find a good long entry, and you can take profits at the halfway point for a very, very high probability trade. And then you can leave runners to the actual previous closing price, which is also a very high probability trade. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
that's the way of looking at it.
Yeah, this is the way that I like to look at it. And honestly, anyone that I get on the phone with, so we offer the ability to get on calls with me as a user. It's part of the subscription. And one thing that I say is I always think that to have success in a funded account, taking only the highest probability trades and not any trades outside of that to pass that challenge is very, very important. So in this case, you can actually see the odds of these things happening, and roughly 80% of the time, you're going to get that win, which is really nice, especially if you're trading the NQ or the ES. To me, it's a no-brainer setup. Now, it doesn't set up every day, and I'll kind of show you why it doesn't set up every day.
Okay.
I'm going to move this back to 100%. I'm going to click save. And it's really important. One of the biggest drivers on whether the gap is going to fill or not is the size of the gap. So I just told you here that this gap was 42 points, just about. So I'll do that. I'll show you again. 42 points, and that's 0.22% on the NASDAQ right here on the NQ futures.
Mm-hmm.
So what this sub report here does is it allows you to filter for gaps of specific sizes. And you can see down here, these are gaps between 0 and 0.19%, and right here is between 0.2 and 0.39. So this gap would fall into this category. And you can see it has a very high probability trade of reaching even this yellow line, let alone this green one. But what's interesting is that when you go higher up on these percentages, it's a lot less likely that these are going to fill. So now,
so the bigger the gap, the less likely to fill, essentially.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So like even today, just to even go to today for a second.
That's a good example.
Monster gap of right here, almost 2.4% overnight from one New York session to the next. There is not a chance that this was going to fill today. It didn't fill today. I mean, it would have been an anomaly if it did fill because of just how crazy the move was. This is an absolute no trade. Do not, I mean, you can trade this, but don't expect the gap to fill in this case.
Yeah.
So understanding the size of the gap is a huge driver. So like, even if we look right here, this is just another example where it filled just like practically immediately in the morning, but this was a much smaller gap. So if I go right here to the open, that's 0.24, another super high probability trade. And just so you can actually see, so I can set this up one more time for anyone who's watching this, so you can see how I set it up. Looking at previous close right here, that green line, looking at today's open right here. And then you can see the gap size is 48 points. So another beautiful trade right there in that first, right at the open. And if I drop down, I'll drop down to a 1 minute so you can really see it clean. So I'll just zoom in here quickly. Like this is the trade right here. This is all you need to take. A 48-point move on NQ is a beautiful trade to start your morning. Done within literally 8 minutes. That's your day.
Yeah.
This is something that I think, as someone who's trading prop firms, trying to pass challenges, very, very key trade because it gives you the bias. So when we open above, you want to be short. If we open below, you want to be long. The way to think about it is you just have to target the previous day's closing price. That's it. Previous session's closed. That's it. So it is a very simple, very easy setup to take. I look at it every single day. It's actually the reason that Edgeful exists. This gap, the gaps behind the gap fill, like I didn't tell you guys the founding story, but when I started to trade, I wanted to come across, I was trying to look for some of these strategies like gap fill, opening range, initial balance breakout, all these different things. And the gap fill was one that really stuck to me because I never knew what direction, like, should I be bullish? Should I be bearish today? Like, what do I do? Like, where should I target?
Yeah.
And as I did more research, I found the gap fill. And then I found that people would kind of talk about it. I was like, oh yeah, all the gaps fill. They fill 100% of the time. And nothing fills 100%. Nothing happens 100% of the time.
True.
So my background is in finance and accounting. I was an analyst at a hedge fund, and I was an analyst at Goldman Sachs. I'm very comfortable with data. So my first thought is, I want to know what the actual stats are. So I download a bunch of data, throw it into Excel, and then I can see, okay, the gap up fills this often. The gap down fills this often. Now I can use that to say, okay, I know my probabilities. And I start to add more and more into this Excel file until it becomes, like, honestly unmanageable to, like Excel's not built for this type of stuff. Like, you can't do this.
Yeah.
And I looked for a product like this. I looked for an app that did exactly this, and it doesn't exist, which is actually kind of
yeah.
And that's the actual inspiration. Like, that's the inspiration. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Which is crazy.
Cool. Yeah.
But the gap sizes, super important. So that's one thing I want to mention. Another thing that I'm going to touch on with this report and another one is that the weekdays are a very, very big driver as well. So just because you're trading the same instrument does not mean it's going to behave the same on every weekday. And what I mean by that is it's very similar to, like, if you're driving a car, you're driving just like a Jeep Wrangler, and you're driving it on like a beautiful summer day, all the roads are dry. Then you're driving it in a snowstorm. You need to drive it very differently in the summer and then a snowstorm. It's still the same car, but a different environment. And that's the same thing. You're still trading NQ, but in a different environment. And what happens here is when you look at the stats by weekday, you can see how much they vary.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah. So really, really important that people understand that not every single day is the exact same setup, is the exact same environment, is the exact same everything, just because you're trading the same ticker or the same contract. So that's one other thing that I would mention about the gap fill report. We also have a trading view indicator that will automatically plot the gaps up and down for you. And it's specific. If you're a futures trader, it's the gap fill by session. It's not the gap fill, the regular one. The regular gap fill is for stocks. The gap fill by session, you can change it to be the New York, the London, etc. So I'll show you quick kind of what it looks like here. Switch to the 5-minute so I can show you. It's actually really cool. So you can see this yellow line here is immediately referencing the previous day's close that I was just drawing out manually before. And then you can see this blue area was the actual gap itself, and then you can see where this gap filled. So if I quickly go to this replay mode and I just play it, you're going to see how this works. So you can see as the gap is filling, you're going to see this blue area kind of come down, and then once it touches that gap fill area, it'll turn yellow, and then that bar that fills the gap will turn yellow. So now you can see, okay, gap is filled. There you go. That's it.
Okay.
So you automatically will always have the levels plotted for you on your charts. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So here's another humongous gap that will definitely not fill today. This is the big shaded area that is the gap up here. There's another one that actually has become extremely popular, specifically again in the prop space, or at least from our members that are prop traders, and it's the opening range breakout.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's super popular right now.
Yeah, so I've been using the London opening range as like a pre-market trade idea.
Yeah. And the stats on ES for this one, actually, I think the edge is a little bit higher for ES. So I'll actually switch to ES quickly so you can actually see what I'm talking about. But okay. The way that I think is best to use this is to clearly look at this crazy bar here. 71% of the time, price is going to break out of both sides of the opening range. So we also have a trading view indicator for this. It'll automatically plot behind the low of the day every day for you, and you can customize it to pick your start and end times. You can change it to the London session. You can change it to whatever session. So here you're going to see, and this is something that you'll notice a lot, and this is another for prop traders, very simple, very easy trade setup that you can take that has a very, very high probability. So again, we're looking at 71% of the time, the 15-minute time frame on ES, price breaks to the downside, so you need to wait for this orb to form, first 15 minutes. Now in this case, breaks to the downside and then breaks to the upside. So waiting for this downside break, trying to pick up on some exhaustion, maybe sellers get exhausted, maybe buyers start to step in, get long, targeting this green line. If you were to take profits along the way, the odds are obviously higher because the odds of both sides breaking at any point of the day is 70%. So if you were to take profits even halfway, your odds are going to be higher.
Yeah.
So, super simple trade setup to take. So here it would have worked today. Yesterday was FOMC. I mean, you probably would have gotten stopped out on this one.
Yeah.
In this case, another one, I'll show you a couple other examples here. Breaks to the downside, then breaks back to the upside. Here, breaks to the upside, then breaks down to the downside. It literally, like it had, oh, here's an example where it didn't happen. This, where it doesn't touch this opening range low, only happens 15% of the time. I'll be more than happy to take those odds all day that I'll lean on this. I'll take the loss on this day. I'll get out. No problem. because I know over the next 10 trades, this is going to serve me very well. I'll show you one more example here. Here's another great example. Breaks to the downside, breaks back to the upside. I mean, it literally happens like almost every day. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
the orb double break play is one that I've been liking for sure.
Yeah. It really is great. And again, by weekday, super important. So now you look here. Here, I'll hold on. What's going on here? Same candle throughout the day. Click. Okay. So by weekday, wait, something is going on here. My settings must be off. Hold on. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Just need to fix my settings here. Maybe if I switch to NQ quickly.
I'm still no worries. I'm still holding some meta calls that I took. I was looking at the FOMC reports, and I liked the meta chart, and meta had shown really strong data for the 3 days following FOMC over the last couple of years.
Let me look at that.
And yeah, so I took some meta calls, and they went over like 500% today.
Very nice. Where is our meta? Do we still have it as Facebook?
No, it's meta, but I don't know why. If you type it, you gotta scroll down. Yeah, see it down. It's down there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The reason that we have it like that is because it searches for anything that has meta in it. But
Gotcha.
I'm going to go to the FOMC performance report now. So yeah, in this case, so what Tyler was just saying was that the performance for meta after FOMC is typically very good. So this is the 10 days before and 10 days after. And you can see actually in the last meetings, 10% gain, 2% gain, 10% gain. And it's great when you can see a really nice chart setup and then kind of mix this in. And then now you can see, I mean, obviously this is an amazing trade. You took them yesterday?
Yeah. So I bought, I actually think I might have bought them. I bought 2 different strikes. I bought the first ones on Tuesday, and I bought the other ones yesterday.
Very nice. I want to show you.
One contracts went like 530 or 40%, and then the other ones went like 300 and something.
Very nice.
And I'm holding a runner for each, and we're getting to push in the new highs. So I'm a happy camper.
Beautiful. So I want to show you something that I think is going to kind of give you some more confidence in your trade here. So I'm going to show you. I just went to the previous week's range report.
Okay.
And this is this week right here. And then right here, this is last week. And you can see here's last week's high, last week's low. Price on Monday of this week broke out of last week's high. You can see that right here. The moment that happened, you can see that only 16% of the time in the last 6 months, price will also touch this bottom area, this previous week's low, which is from right here.
Okay.
Which means that once price breaks out of that high, you can expect more continuation to the upside because it's very unlikely that it'll come back down here by the end of this week. So great trade on your end, just kind of like picking a nice chart setup and actually on that trade. But if you're swing trading, for anyone who swing trades, I mean, waiting for one side to break, one side of the previous week to break, and then I don't know if do you sell options at all?
I don't. It's not something I'm super familiar with. I would like to get. I hear it's a really good strategy, but I haven't taken the time to really study it yet.
Yeah. I mean, if you do vertical credit spreads, for anyone who's listening that might be familiar, as soon as one side breaks here, vertical credit spreads to the opposite end, super high probability trade, and you can hold those into the end of the week. If it's Monday, you can take that Friday expiration and just kind of ride that theta decay. Not to get into the details of what that is right now.
Yeah.
It's just such a great trade.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. You want to jump into what we just released, the what's in play?
Yeah, let's check out the live stuff.
Perfect. Okay.
Or
so
I guess it's what's in play is what you're calling it.
Yeah. The reason we're called the actual idea behind it is that when you open up this report dropdown, you can see a lot that's going on here. There's a lot of reports. We're very well aware of that. And we don't want to have you or any of our users, honestly, kind of like memorize, oh, the gap fill is setting up, or oh, the opening range is setting up, and then like, oh, the power hour report is setting up too now, and previous week's range is setting up, and like, how can I, like, it's just unmanageable and it's unrealistic for us to expect you to be able to do that. So we built a section that will tell you what's in play and when it's in play. And that's called the what's in play section. So we're starting out with, I'll switch to futures quick. So we're starting out with 4 reports: the gap fill, the opening range, the initial bounce by rejection, which I'll get to in a second, and then the ADR report. If anyone watching, including yourself, Tyler, has any requests for the next ones to come in, we're very like conscious about like getting feedback from people right now. So what we're doing is we're introducing in like the beta stage that it's in right now, that we want to hear from people to say, oh, please add this report or that one, because we don't want to build it for everything all at once. We want to add it in as people make these requests. So if there's actually anything that you'd want us to build, just let me know, and we can actually get this added in there, because we want to add it as people are asking, not just kind of like do it all at once and just like hope that it's much more efficient that way. So
cool.
In this case, the way that this is going to work is it'll tell you ES. I mean, obviously ES has a gap up today. I mean, a massive gap up, but ES has a gap up. So it'll tell you it has a gap up. It'll tell you the current price. It'll tell you the target or the previous day's close. It'll tell you the size of the gap, so you'll know how big that gap is overnight. Instead of doing it like the way that I did it, like doing it like this.
Yeah, figuring that out.
You'll have it right there. And then it'll tell you the current distance to the gap. So how much meat is there on the bone? Obviously, I mean, it's super unlikely that this gap's going to fill, but the current distance to the gap. Then the status, meaning that is it in play or is it not in play?
Gotcha.
So this is not filled yet, so it's still in play. What your bias is. So obviously when there's a gap up, you want to have a short bias. And then the streaks. So the last 5 gaps up, 4 out of 5 of them have filled. So, and then right here are the stats. Then you can go to the report in this case. But typically, I mean, today's honestly not a fantastic example to do this, because it's just such a monstrous gap.
Yeah.
But typically, this is something that's going to be that you can use. So you can use Edgeful in your pre-market plan to set up your trades, and then you use this during the trading day to see kind of what's going on.
Yeah.
So another example here is the orb size, the orb low, the orb high, and then the odds of it breaking in either direction. So you can see, okay, I can target that orb high, and then the percentages are this. And you can see in the last 5 days, it's double broke every time except for once. So even that trade setup that you were talking about, I mean, I know you trade that London session, but another super high probability trade, like worked 8 out of 10 times, or sorry, 4 out of 5 times in the last 5 days.
Yeah. The London double break, I'll actually use. I don't like wake up at London to trade it, but I'm normally up early in the morning, and so like when I sit down and first check the charts, and I'm kind of like looking pre-market. If it's only broken one side of the orb, I'll then start to take a look and see if there's a good spot where I could get in to target the other side. So I kind of use it as like a little bit of a more of like a 6, 7 a.m. type of trade setup for me when I do use the London double break. But
perfect. Yeah, and it's so funny because we don't do signals. We have no signals here. We're not going to tell you where to buy. We're not going to tell you where to sell. And we're also not going to tell you exactly how to use each of these reports, because there's a million ways to use it. Like you use it one way, I'll use it another way. Someone else is going to use it a different way. There's a million ways to use it. So we'll never provide signals. like it's always up to you to kind of figure out what to do with these reports. The next one is the initial balance breakout by rejection. So what this on Edgeful, what this one says is it pretty much checks the order of the initial balance formation. So if the high forms first, what is the probability that the low is going to break first? If the low forms first, so pretty much like it gives you the order, which is really nice because if you can just check, like it takes an hour for the initial balance to form. Okay, I can clearly see the high is forming first. I can target the low to break. So this one will tell you which side formed first. So you can see the low formed first today, and it broke out to the top side and then not to the bottom side, as well as the odds of that happening. So you can see the breakout 35% roughly, as well as the previous 5 days. And then the last one here is the ADR, which is the average daily range. It's just a measure of like literally the average range from the high to the low of the day. And what we can do with that, which is really interesting, is figure out what a bullish potential move is and a bearish potential move is based on that ADR. So starting at the open, you add the ADR to the top side, and then if price, like let's say price just went straight up all day and then stayed within ADR, you would have a perfect profit target right at what that ADR is. So like let's say it opened here at 57.78, you can add 55 to it. And then, I mean, I'll explain a little bit more of how this is calculated in a second, but that would be a bullish potential move. Like the potential meat on the bone there is whatever the ADR is, starting from the open. This will update throughout the day to accommodate any new highs or lows made. So it's completely dynamic. So pretty much, if you're long, your maximum target should be this number. If you're short, your maximum target should be this number. So if you want it to expect it to stay within that ADR, these are the numbers that you can expect. So you can see in the last 4 days, 4 out of 5 days, prices stayed within the daily ADR. So you don't really want to expect it to break out too often. But these are the 4 that we have right now. I'm curious if you have any questions, any like wish list items that you want to see in here?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But it's definitely interesting. I think it's a cool concept. And I like it how it gives you all the numbers, gives you the targets, makes everything really simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think these are good reports to start with.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
You have the 15-minute. Okay, so the other one, that initial balance 60-minute. Can you like change that? Like I know on your reports that you can change the 15-minute orb to the 5-minute orb to the 30-minute orb, whatever. Is that all changeable within the live like in play thing as well?
It is not yet. So these are the types of things that we want to hear. So like, what should we focus on? Like report customization. Like, do you want to be able to select like a sub report within like in that what's in play section? Like what do you, and right now we have it all defaulted. So the odds, like all the edge is based on past 6 months, and you can't change that right now. So like, is that something else that people would want to change? Like, do they want to look at 3 months or 2 years or whatever else? Like that's something else that we're willing to kind of like hear and like listen for. I have a question though. Would you want to see a price chart in here, or do you always have a price chart up somewhere else?
I always have a price chart up somewhere else, but that's like I actually use Thinkorswim as opposed to TradingView. And then I'll place, so I do all my charting on Thinkorswim. When I'm trading options, I'm trading options on my Thinkorswim account. But then when I'm trading futures, it's typically on a prop firm account with Tradeovate, which is in like a separate window. So I don't know, like it could be cool to see the chart in certain examples or in certain situations, but I don't know if it's something that would be necessary for at least me personally.
Yeah, that's the feedback that we've gotten is it'll take up a lot of room, and almost everyone that has Edgeful open will have a chart open too. And that's why we don't have it in here. Yeah, like it's pretty rare that you'll have Edgeful open without having a TradingView or Thinkorswim or something open. So that's why we didn't include it. I was just curious to hear from like another trader, like what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we also have a lot of other things coming. Like we're actually redesigning
Hmm.
entire site at the moment. So I'll actually show you quick. I need to get out of that. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So you can see this like gray thing that I
Yep.
have.
Mhm.
So just to kind of show you guys some of the designs we're building. Currently, we don't really have like a solid homepage. So
Mhm.
what we're doing is we want to build like a very solid homepage. So what's in play, you'll be able to customize the asset, the ticker, the report. So you'll have like a little mini what's in play section up top, right at the top of your homepage. Then we're building a what's in play screener. So like let's say you wanted to look at the gap fill and you want to look at equities, for example, like stocks.
Mhm.
Now you can see Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Tesla, and it'll show you that Microsoft's gapping up, Apple's gapping down, Nvidia's gapping down.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of them on one page, what your targets are, what your gap sizes are, whether they've filled or not. So are these in play? Like let's say you have Tesla, Meta, and Nvidia like on your watch list to trade today, and now you know, okay, well I just saw on Edgeful that Meta filled the gap, so that's not in play anymore for me. So now you can like mentally focus on two rather than focusing on like the three or whatever
Yeah.
else. Also, again with the bias, so this will be right on your homepage.
That's cool. That's a good way. It's a cool way of looking at it.
Yeah, and ideally we'd want to be able to allow you to kind of build a favorites list in here. So if you want to
Mhm.
trade, if you want to have like NQ and Microsoft together, that would be something that you can do if you like build like a favorites list or like what we have over
Mhm.
here, like a watch list.
Yeah. Mhm.
So that's something that's going to be on there. Then quick reports. So this is going to be a way for you to just kind of like pick any report right from here, and then the new reports will go down here. Again, I'm curious, any wish list items that should be in here. We're also going to add an economic calendar right on the side here, and it'll populate in the sidebar. But anything that you want to see from your Edgeful homepage, like you personally.
Um, I think what you guys are doing with that's pretty cool. I think everything looks pretty neat. I wonder, like, is there a way that you could set, like, if there are like certain things that you like, if you're someone who likes to trade gap fills or whatever it may be, or even maybe with like the economic calendar, is
Yeah.
there a way to set like notifications? So, like, say that there's like data dropping at 8:30 a.m. You know, a lot of times it is, and you're trading
Yeah.
futures in the morning pre-market, and like you get a notification that's like, hey, data dropping in 5 minutes, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I think something like that could be kind of cool, or even just like uh, if it got to a point, I don't know if it's even capable of doing this, but it's hey, it like gives you a notification if you put like one of the gap fills as something you like to trade. It'll notify you when, hey, there's a high percentage chance that this gap will fill, or something like that would be kind of
Yeah.
cool, which I guess is what this screener is kind of doing. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I can't think of
Alerts.
anything that's like that's really pressing. I'm like, oh, it really needs this instead of what you're doing. I think what you're doing looks pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah, and we're definitely going to do alerts too. And
Okay.
yeah, you're definitely not the first to ask. I know traders love alerts, but you're definitely not the first to ask. So it's definitely in the works. And there's one major change that we're making, and this is to replace this dropdown. So right now, this dropdown is overwhelming. There isn't really any information on any of these
Mhm.
reports. Like if you don't know what an opening range break is, you need to click into the report, then you need to scroll down, then you need to read this. So what we want to do here is allow you to discover the reports on the report discovery page. So like kind of like explore what we have. You can look at it by stocks, futures, Forex, and crypto, like up here. You can filter for price action volume indicator reports to the side. Now you can specifically filter for like chart pattern report categories, performance tracking, session analysis, these different categories here. And that'll filter very similar to like an e-commerce experience. Like if you're on Amazon, you know, like the sidebars where your filters are, and you know, like, okay, if I filtered for like anything like prime
Yeah.
only, I know that everything in here is prime only.
Okay.
And So then here you'd be able to see, okay, like gap fill, whatever reports, like gap fill opening range, like these are all placeholders, obviously. But then we'll have an explainer section right here. So then when you click it, it'll look like this. And it'll have the image blown up, and it'll tell you, what does this report measure? It measures how often the price touches the previous session's close. And in an instant, you'll know, do I want to look at this? Do I want to look into this or not? And then, so you don't need to go and like watch the video or do anything else. Thoughts on this as a whole?
I like that. I think that's a cool layout. That's a good way of doing it.
Yeah. We really want to emphasize the bookmarks too. So in this case, if you were to bookmark this, it would go right here. So then let's say you did click into your gap fill report. Now this is also the list view, just for people who want a little more condensed view. So it's not like a lot. If you were to click on the gap fill report, it's the exact same layout here. There are still the visual, still the table, the streaks are going to be here, the table is going to be here, the price chart's going to be there, explainer video, explainer, etc., everything else. What's going to be different is that we really want to emphasize that you're going to use the bookmarks, and these bookmarks, so like you can quickly switch from the gap fill report to orb to initial balance to volume and range, and then you can also create a watch list that will allow you to switch from SPY to Meta to Tesla to NQ to ES to gold and whatever else without having to leave this page.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that for like intraday use, like in the minute, like while you're trading. That's definitely going to be easier to navigate.
Yeah.
To look at certain things. If you're scanning the charts and you have this dashboard that's got everything right there for you, that'll definitely be an easier way to use it during the trading day. I think I like that a lot.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Yeah, it's we've put a lot of time into it. It looks really simple, but like this is like the 4,000th iteration.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah. And then finally is the screener. So we have two, again, with a grid view, we have the list view. So like this would be the gap fills, what's in play. This would be the opening range, what's in play, the initial bounce, what's in play, and everything else like that I just showed you on the other screen. And then you'd be able to see it in list form too. So you can like see it in like kind of more blown up and like a little more separated if it is too like smushed together for you. But yeah, this is what we're working on now. And then I can show you one other thing really quickly.
Okay.
And we are going to be releasing automated trading. So this is actually what I'm most excited for.
I was actually going to ask you about that. I know a lot of people, I feel like this is a more popular thing in the Forex community than it is maybe in futures or anything, but especially in the Forex community, a lot of people love to talk about trading bots and building their own trading bots and that sort of thing. It's not really something that I've ever used. It's a concept I find to be, I think it's interesting. So I asked you about it, but I'm not like a big user of it. So I didn't say anything. I'm curious to see what this is.
So I want to make something really, really clear that we are not going to be saying, here is the holy grail strategy, like presented to you.
Yeah.
We're going to allow you to customize a strategy. Like, let's say you like the gap fill report, you like the odds, you like the way it moves. We're going to give you the ability through a trading view strategy, like what you're seeing here, to completely customize all your profit targets, your risk, so your stop loss, whether you want to trade a gap up, a gap down on Monday, on Thursday, if you want to trade every day or even one day, you can customize everything. So we're going to provide it to you completely boilerplate with nothing, and then you need to use the Edgeful stats to build your own strategies. So we give you the ability to automatically trade the gap fill report or the gap fill strategy, and then we connect that to Edgeful, and then Edgeful connects to the broker, and then it just sends the signals. It automatically enters, it automatically exits. It's completely hands off. And I'm just going to show you here on NQ. Now, what this is showing is, so now we're looking from August 28th of last year to September 15th of this year, so like 4 days ago. The gap fill strategy on a $10,000 account right here, trading one NQ contract, has returned 506% in the last year, taking 109 trades, 53% profitable, 2%, not 2%, 2 profit factor. So 2R, like the risk to reward is a 2.
Yep.
The max drawdown is $4,000. And the way that TradingView categorizes this is the peak to trough. So right here to right here is a $4,000 loss. Is a drawdown. Your average winning trade is $465. You can literally see the list of every single trade going back, and you can backtest this. You can look at whatever you want. So as you're looking to develop the strategy before you set it up to like automatically run, you can go through and refine it as much as you want. It has everything you need, and then all you need to do is like, we'll provide the same way that you get access to our TradingView indicators is the same way that you'll get access to these strategy scripts. All you have to do is like plug it into Edgeful, plug your broker into Edgeful, and then literally everything just goes automatically from there. So
that's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, why don't you just give me that one you just showed me? I'll just take that, plug it in. That was a nice return, man. That was awesome.
Yeah. So
how does it you set a profit target on that? So like, would it ever hold a runner? Could you go back to like the profit and loss that it was showing?
Yeah. So
you're only doing one contract. Will it like do you have, I guess, a profit target? Like as soon as the gap's filled, does it close full?
So the way that we allow this to be designed is right here. This blue line is the profit target. Is the gap fill. So by the way, I've been testing this with my actual personal money, and this was a trade that I actually took the other day. And I have it so it's 130 or 150% of the gap fill. So it needs to fill the gap and a little bit more.
Okay.
So in this case, you can see where my profit target was, and you can see I entered short right here. My stop loss was over here, and my profit target was down here. So this blue line is that gap fill. And I have it set so it can go further out. Now we have a version of this that has multiple take profit points. It's not the one that I'm testing right now because I've just tested it with one contract. I actually just went to 2 contracts just 2 days ago. But it's completely automated. It's completely hands-off. It works automatically. Like I literally don't do anything. I was actually on a stream yesterday or 2 days ago, and it automatically entered and automatically exited on the NQ contracts, and it took the profit, and I was on stream, and the alerts literally came up on the bottom left here of like the entry and the exit on TradingView, and that was it. Like did it for me. It really is an incredible experience.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Like you asked for multiple take profits. Getting that feedback, getting those requests, like what do you want to see from it is exactly what we wanted to hear. So yes, we already have a version that has multiple take profits, not the one that I'm personally using at the moment. We're also building one for the opening range breakout, not the double break. I'm working on the double break one right now.
Just a question, just more out of curiosity than anything. Why did you put your stop where you put it there? Like so on this current one that you've been testing, it's essentially a 2-to-1 risk to reward.
Yeah.
And do you have it at like then a max loss for the day?
Yes. So we also allow for, so you can see right here, you can see that no matter where what the gap size is or what anything is, you can see that you can put in a max loss. So like, for example, today there was a huge gap. So if you use a 50% stop loss on like the gap size, it's going to be like way bigger than a $2,000 drawdown. But your stop loss is always at your max risk based on whatever you put in here.
Okay.
So you can see right here, I have on Tuesdays 150%, or what day was this? This was Tuesday. Yeah, so I have 150%, or 150% gap fill target, and then 60% of that target is my risk. So you can see right here, this was 153 points right here, and then 60% of that is the risk. So it's not, the stop losses are always based on what the profit target is. So it's always a 2-to-1, roughly a 2. I mean, it's not always a 2-to-1. It's based on whatever you
so for this particular one, we got the gap up, and so the software knows it's gapping up. It's going to be short bias, looking for a short for the gap to fill. Does it enter it at market open?
So because of a trading view limitation, it has to enter at the close of whatever time. This is kind of like getting into the details. It enters on the close. It has to enter on the close of a candle.
Okay.
I set the strategy up for the 5-minute chart. So my strategy, the personal one that I use, enters at 9:35.
Okay.
There's a 2-second delay from when the alert goes off in TradingView to when the order is executed in my trading account. One thing is that this is probably not going to work. I mean, I would find it extremely hard to believe that this would work on prop firms. I just want to mention that.
Okay.
I don't know how that. I don't know how the connection would work. It's like I don't know how that all that stuff works.
So you mean just like in terms of integrating it with like your broker with the prop firm? You mean?
So you can definitely integrate it with your broker. Like if you use Tradeovate or NinjaTrader or whatever, like TradeStation, no problem. But if you use like Top Step or Apex or My Funded Futures, I don't know. I highly doubt that this would be able to run on a prop firm challenge.
Just based off of them allowing it, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Once again, that's I think that's more of a Forex thing. I know like Funder Pro is a Forex prop firm that I've traded for, and I know you're allowed to use like trading bots and stuff with them. So there are maybe a few out there that you could try it with prop firms, but I'm not sure who all allows it and who doesn't.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's super interesting. What all currently with this, and I can let you go here shortly, but does this work? What brokers does this integrate with? Like, can you integrate this with Thinkorswim, or does it have to be TradingView or something like that?
So we're building this out for TradingView right now. We don't have the integrations full. Like, I won't be able to tell you the list of brokers right now, but the strategies will be built on TradingView. So you will definitely need a TradingView account. Even the basic plan, like the lowest plan, that's the one that I actually have. Like, so this is the I have my personal TradingView and we have a business TradingView, and this is the business TradingView. But my personal one is the lowest plan. Like I only use TradingView for like to show Edgeful to people and like to show the chart. So you don't really need to. There's really not that much cost outside of just Edgeful, and it's just going to be that TradingView. So you can set the alerts and set everything else. But this is what I'm really excited for, because we have our discretionary traders that do really well using. They can find their own entries. They can trail their stops. They can take profits along the way. They can trim positions. But then there is also a huge group of other people that don't have that yet, and we want to also help them make money too, which is where this will come in, because it's completely automated. Like you don't even need to have your phone on. You don't need to look at a chart. The only thing that you need to do is make sure that you use the Edgeful data to refine the stats over time. So for example, these stats change every single day. So every time there's a new gap up or a new gap down, it will adjust the stats, obviously. So in different market environments, these things will change. And certain things have different success in different market environments. So you need to make sure that you're adapting it, and using the data in Edgeful is what will allow you to do that accurately. So that's what I'm really excited about. That's hopefully going to be done in the next few months, just because we need to make sure it's like very solid, obviously.
That makes sense. Definitely not something you'd want to have some bugs with, I would imagine. But that's cool. That's exciting. That's exciting to see. I'll definitely be interested in checking that out once you guys release it.
Good.
It's a good way. It's a good way. Like, I'm not like a huge component of the bot trading, but I mean, obviously the stats you just showed, if you set it properly, it takes the emotions out of trading, and could be a good way to do it, especially with something like the gap fills or something that has a high probability of happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my personal account that I've been trading, I started this 6 weeks ago. It's up 65% in 6 weeks.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's crazy, but it's great. But yeah, I mean, it's a pleasure speaking with you. I hope we can do it again soon.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for taking the time out to show me all this stuff. I've had some people. I got a DM right before we hopped on. It was like, "Hey, does Edgeful do you really think it helps your edge?" And I'm like, "Yeah. That's why talking about it.
Yeah.
But so this will be cool for people who aren't super familiar with it. They can check this out, see everything that you guys offer, and what you guys can do for their trading. I think it's great. So
perfect.
So thank you once again for taking the time.